In this last lecture of this section, I want to provide you some more walk you through some other resources that I have in this basics of prompting section for you to work with. So far we have come up to output formats. So you can ask GPT for different format structures. We slightly covered it in the previous class as well when we asked it to put it in a tabular format, an HTML format. But there is more than that ChatGPT can do. Use a specific template or style guide. For instance, if you're aware of any theoretical frameworks that you want to work with in terms of your creative projects or in terms of your content writing, you can you can tell ChatGPT to let's say, use the IDA framework to write the blog, and it will do that. Adjust the font size. It can also work with headers and different types of headings, and we will cover this in the blogging section when we work on that part of the course. Organize content. You can also assign tone and voice, providing more details. Use quotes or references to support key points. Use data or statistics to provide evidence. Provide step-by-step structures or detailed explanation of a process. So keep these things in mind when you're using when you're creating prompts, so that there are other things that you can do along with the prompt. For instance, adding reference and citations, for improving the vocabulary and language, and we went through one of the prompts for this. The next thing is define an audience. So any project or task you're working with, not only tell ChatGPT what the role of the model is, that okay, you are supposed to be an expert in XYZ, but also help it understand who the audience of the output will be. So for instance, if you remember, we said write it for a 5-year-old. So in that way, I was able to instruct ChatGPT and Google BARD that you're specifically writing this for someone who is 5-year-old. So it wrote accordingly, and it said, okay, black hole is like a lot of elephants shrink down into one single point. So in this way, and this will really come into effect when you're working on your business task and business projects. For marketing, let's say, assigning or defining an audience is really good in terms of understanding what type of output will relate to that audience specifically. And here's the long list of different audiences that you can ask ChatGPT to write for. Of course, it's not an extensive list, but gives you an idea of what sort of audiences you can define. The next thing I cover here is purpose or goal. So just like it's very similar to action, verb, and adjectives, but you can also assign a specific goal or purpose that can be different than the instruction. So for instance, let's go back to our Airbnb example of writing the email, where we said, okay, I'm going to offer 50% discount on all my courses for tutoring for the next 2 weeks, and write this email in the writing style of Airbnb discount emails. So I provided the context of Airbnb style emails. I can also add one more line in that, saying that the objective or the purpose or the goal of this email is to increase the click-through rate, or to increase sales, or to maximize revenue. And ChatGPT will take that purpose as well into account and formulate the email accordingly. So not only define an audience, a role, a context, but also define a purpose or goal that you're trying to achieve with this prompt or with this task, and ChatGPT will take that into account and write accordingly. And that would vary depending on the job or the task you're doing. Sometimes you want to write a salesy email, so you want to highlight the discount over and over again. Sometimes you're just providing information, so you want to sound authentic and credible, and you don't want to sell anything. So define the purpose of the topic or the task that you're asking ChatGPT to do for you, and it will write the prompts accordingly. Now there is more about providing context of the task to ChatGPT. We slightly covered it, but there are different ways this could be done, and I added it in the end because it essentially crunches everything that we have taken so far and then builds up a context on it. So within context of a task, I can do it in several different ways depending on the task I'm working with. For example, I can define an industry. I can say, okay, this is the target audience you're writing with, this is the purpose or goal, the tone and voice. You can give an outline structure. For instance, when it comes to writing long form content, I'm writing a 10,000 word blog, or I'm writing a book, I can provide an outline. Okay, if you're writing me a book, these are the 7 sections we're going to write about. So it gives it clarity and understands that, okay, this is the path that I need to follow based on the information we provide. References and data, keywords and SEO. So you can also say, okay, these are the words, keywords that I want you to focus on when you're writing the blog, and then it will use those keywords over and over again so that it can rank high on Google. Competitors, comparison, you can also provide a context of different competitors or comparison between different industries that you're working with. So for instance, instead of Airbnb, I could have said Airbnb, Uber Eats, or Turo, and then said that, okay, use the best of the best to write the email for me. Branding guidelines, constraint restrictions. Here you can talk about, okay, don't use X sort of language, or don't sound funny, or don't sound sarcastic or aggressive. So depending on the need of the job, this can also prove to be very helpful for you. Act as an expert in the field. We covered this. So this is just the same list that we covered from the resource Awesome ChatGPT prompts. I've just added it here as well for you for your reference. And GPT-4 is not yet equipped to work with links, but once that functionality comes in, I have drafted a series of tasks that you can ask ChatGPT to do once it starts working with images. So this will prove to be beneficial when the images features is launched into GPT-4. I will definitely add one more section on images once that feature comes in. But for now, you have this list of prompts that you can work with, and you can actually use Bing to do a lot of these tasks because Bing can work with images.